I read your message about ETH, and I wanted to clarify your question, what exactly you're asking about Ethereum. And Dan knows this, but there are a couple of other tokens that I'm a fan of. One of them is STX, Stacks. And I actually, which you can stake to earn Bitcoin, or you can stake it and you earn it 10%, which is nice. I just unstaked some, and stake sounds so good right now. I shouldn't say that word. Just unstaked some, and it works. It's you stack it, I should say. They call it stacking. I don't know why, but my charts keep liking this token. When I pulled them a few months ago, and then I pulled them more recently. So that's one that I'm holding on to. It's, as Dan said, it's like number 30, so there's not much more it can go. And granted, fine, but it's one that I'm liking, especially since it's earning at the same time. And you can earn stacks as well. You can get 10% stacks or Bitcoin, whichever you like. So that's one I'm liking. But and OXO is the AI play that I also like. I think that has a 5 to 10x potential within the next 6 months. And I'm kind of staying within those. And then, of course, FlashX, Dan's project, I think has tremendous potential. And what else? There are a couple of others. KNDX, I think, can go to about 70, 80 cents. It's currently at 4 cents, so that would be about a 20x from current position. DOG, I think, still has, that's that's an old one, a DAG Constellation. I think it's a project, and don't know why it's not rising to its potential, but perhaps the rising market can bring it back as well. So those are ones that I own. I don't own a lot, but I'm sort of stuck in them, you could say, because they've gone down since I bought them. The up and then down. But to clarify, you did have a question about Ethereum. So what do you specifically want to know about?
Before you spit that out, Dan, Simon, are you in a position to do a screen share and bring up the chart and show him what you're going to look at when he has the question and everything? Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's maximize the impact of this. But Dan, you'll have to ask him a very specific question.
You've got the chart in front of you, and you're reading off of that to get your answers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so full disclosure, I did pull it before, just before we spoke, and it was inconclusive. It said just wait a little bit. So that's what I'm doing.
What was your question on ETH?
My question on ETH was from a couple of weeks ago, where we were lamenting the performance of ETH versus everything else in the crypto market and how it's performing against Bitcoin. It just seems to have underperformed. Yeah. It's been underwhelming for the whole year, which is like 8 months now. It's just lagging. Its performance is not there.
Yeah, ETH Bitcoin is pretty low.
The question, come up with a definitive question though, Dan. Come up like, will ETH hit this price point, or will ETH do this, or because that's what Simon can.
Okay. Well, the question is, for those that are holding ETH, expecting it to rally, is it going to rally in this cycle? Is it going to make new all-time highs? And
when you say this cycle, what is the time frame for you? What is this cycle for you?
This cycle is before the end of 25, so within the next 12 months, call it.
Okay, so will ETH rally
and make new all-time highs? Yeah.
New ATH. Okay. I think it will rise steadily along with the market, and yeah, the answer is yes. In short, just as a short answer, yes. Will it be
Where are you
spectacular?
getting that from this graphic here? I don't understand the answer to this, but
This is financial astrology, Vedic astrology. So yeah, he's reading this Vedic chart here.
So this is what's happening in the sky at the moment, rather than a circle like some charts represent. For example, I could share that. But anyway, I can only share one tab at a time. But I'm sure you've seen the circle charts. The Vedic system is square, and there's an element of lore, Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and the ancient myths sort of hypothesize, even though they knew the world was round, because the Greeks knew way back when, there's a sense that the world has four corners and this flat earth, and then if you keep going far enough, you ascend to the heavenly realms. And anyhow, it's a sort of mystical diagram and representation of, it's a two-dimensional representation of three-dimensional space. So for example, at the moment, if you look west, this planet Venus is setting right now. So if you were to look out your window and you have a western view, you would see Venus on the western horizon and rising. Well, nothing is rising, and the sun has just set, so it's below the horizon and so forth. So this represents the sky. This is above, what we see above, and this is what's below the earth, below our horizon. So judging by so that snapshot, there are a certain set of rules that the ancients simply observed and made rules out of. Like, when you observe a monkey eating a certain bush and then that monkey starts, dies, let's say, then you go, oh, okay, that's a poisonous bush. Like, you don't have to eat it yourself. And so on. You observe nature, you observe the traits of different plants, animals, the behaviors of different bodies and objects, of the wind, if you're a sailor and so forth, and you make hypotheses, and those hypotheses in the end, if they're proven true after a while, become rules of thumb or theorems. And several thousand years later, we have these set of rules for, hey, if the moon is here, it may indicate this. If Saturn's here, it may indicate this. So this is Saturn retrograde, this is Pluto, this is Venus, and so forth. But because there are so many, really practically infinite for our sake, combinations possible, it's more than just memorizing them. You have to get a feel of the flow. So if the guy jabs and does his head to the left, then that means you can left kick him to the side. If he does, right, so you start to read the patterns, whether you're in a fight or whether you're sailing the ocean, and these ancient astronomers read these patterns. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm reading the patterns based on your question, because your question was just born. It was born at this moment in our location, and we treat it any space-time event. Human life is a space-time event. The baby gets his first breath, and that is a moment in time and at a certain place, in the matrix. And based on that imprint, we can say something about that baby's life. Similarly, person starts a business, a couple gets married. I don't know why I'm pontificating on astrology here, but you asked, so maybe I should record this and pass it on to my YouTube audience or something. Point is, Charles and Diana, the moment they said their vows, the snapshot of the heavens was so horrible that any competent astrologer would have said, oh, Lord, why couldn't you have hired someone to just tell you do it a day later? Because there are omens, bad omens, like that augured difficulty, that augured storms ahead. So anyhow, the chart of this question is, it's not necessarily going to be spectacular, but it's as one would expect in a very rising market, that it should reach new highs. I believe a year ago or so, I was looking, and it looked like it could reach 5,000-6,000 in 2025, which you know, was 100% from its current position. But again, it's when other projects are 10xing and so forth, is that something to write home about? So the answer is, I think it will perform. I think it will reach all-time highs, but as expected, not over achieving necessarily.
Okay, that's very interesting. So there's a whole bunch of people holding on, trying not to lose money by selling now. And the advice is it'll probably rise with the rest of the market, and they'll be able to get rid of their ETH at a later date.
I would assume so, and I would encourage those folks to give 5% credence to what I'm saying, and then give credence to also technical analysis and news and research, and just consider what I'm saying as an additional voice out there. And certainly not to take it as gospel, because it's predicated on the assumption that the market will rise. But this chart is telling me right now that things will go as expected. Yes, it will hit a new high, likely because the market will also hit new highs, but as will Bitcoin.
Okay, it sounds like we've got a lot to learn based on your chart.
Well, let's see if it manifests, and 8 months from now or whatever, you can come back and hit me on the head with the chart or congratulate me. So we'll see.